Definitely
you.
back.
Thank you.
All right, Mr. Younger, are you, is the mic unmuted and you're ready for today's introduction of the concentrator, Jeff Mudd?
That I am.
All right, take it away.
Everybody, happy Monday afternoon. It is thrilling and exciting to me to say a couple words about my friend Jeff Mudd. I've known Jeff for about 15 years, and he is an example of what a terrific tradesperson we have. Different exec groups around the country, some have more or less, and I feel really proud to be involved with this group in that we have a really great group of tradespeople, whether it's electric motors or roofing or plumbing or electrical, just a great group. Well, Jeff is one of those guys that I've looked up to over the last 15 years, literally. I went back to the calendar to see when did I meet him, and it looks like it was 2006. And Jeff is an entrepreneur and a great tradesperson. If it has to do with wood, their company does things with it. Jeff started out in the pest control business and then really enjoyed the woodworking repair portion of it. So if it's a remodel, we have a great remodeling company, and if it's if it's electrical fix up or change or installation, we have a great one of those. Well, now we have a great wood repair company. I've used Jeff. As I mentioned, I've looked up to him and admired his business ability and his ability to run a really great organization. He has great people, and I've used him. So I'm not only this is like hair club for men. I'm not only I'm a user of his services as well. So I've used Jeff a few times. Always has been great. Always been noteworthy. Always has been braggable. Whenever he leaves, I can brag about what a great job he does. And so he's an example of the kind of new member that we're always looking for. And that is somebody who's really good at their business, offers spectacular service, and is an example of the best we have in San Diego. So I could tell you a lot of statistics about Jeff, but mostly I would say a great business person and somebody that I admire and look up to. And I'm so very happy that he's chosen to join us. And if you have an opportunity to use him, you would be doing yourself a favor to give him a call. Jeff Mudd, Best Rate Repair.
Lynn, thank you for your kind words. Really appreciate it. So is that my cue to take it away now?
It is.
It's your show, Jeff.
All right. Let me see if I can get this up and going. And I know I just forgot a step that I'm going to have to go back to. So on my share screen, I'll come back to it.
Do you have to
got
share
some
audio first?
Later on. Slideshow, there we go. So did everybody see our first slide here?
There you go.
All
We're
right.
good now. Yes.
All right. So thank you everybody for taking a little bit of time to hear about myself and Best Rate Repair Company. I basically came out of high school using my hands to build things, worked for a couple remodelers, had lots of little side jobs, but I've pretty much been in the home improvement industry since my mid-20s. Worked for a couple pest control companies doing termite inspections and repair work in my late 20s, early 30s, and been blessed with a nice career. So turned 40 right after 9/11, made the decision to move out on my own. Had 2 boys, so it kind of, I was very lucky in the termite inspection world to be able to spend time with my kids, pick them up from school and take them to ball games, baseball practice, things like that. And my older son, do the Boy Scout from Tiger Cubs all the way through Boy Scouts. So I feel pretty blessed to be able to have had that opportunity as a parent. I've been married for 20 years now to my wife, Maggie. We both love traveling. That's Niagara Falls right there. We went a couple years ago in November. It was 11 degrees, very, very cold. And we like going out once in a while. I enjoy throwing axes. In fact, I did that Saturday night up in Vista. Towed a mobile axe trailer up there and helped out the expert and learned how to do some different throwings on my own with him. But she gets out and gives it a try with me. I also had the opportunity to work with a producer for the Wishman movie. A friend of mine up in Carlsbad, so I took both my boys to Las Vegas for the premiere out there in a movie theater, and then an after party, so it was pretty fun. My oldest son, Jake, he's 30, works at Carl Strauss. He's a chef there. And my younger son, 28, lived in Vegas for quite a while. That's Red Rock. And he basically yelled at me the whole time we were going up there. Dad, you're gonna have a heart attack. Dad, exercises for the gym. Dad, you're gonna twist an ankle. But I found out later that he really enjoyed the trip, and we got up to the top there and see the whole view of Vegas and stuff. But since then, he's moved to Denver, so we're ready for some new adventures in a different part of the country. I also like, I'll just say it, I like building shit. So this is a trebuchet that I built for a festival a couple years ago. No engineering background or anything like that, but it's got 500 pounds of weight on it, and it will throw a rock. You can see a white line out in the distance. That's a road of about 300 feet away. So it'll throw a 5-pound rock or a cannonball about a football field when it hits the ground. So that was a great Burning Man type festival. Had a blast doing that, and still have that out on my property, ready to go for the next entertainment. Well, excuse me. One of the things that we're really good at is replacing big beams. So I'll talk about a lot of different projects that Vesper has done over the last few years. There's an apartment complex down in Imperial Beach, and the main support beam was rotted, so we did a replacement on that. You can see the forklift size beam there. You don't just pick those up anymore. Tying it into the building on either side. Support post and framework that we had to do to support everything to get the beam out. Tying the siding, waterproofing. There's a lot to doing a big repair project at times. Some of the projects we do are smaller for homeowners. So there's a nice ranch estate up in Fallbrook, I believe, and they had 10 of these 6x6 posts that were just a little bit damaged on the bottom. So you can see the screen on the right was a nice solution. We cut out some of the bottom, treated it, put a nice decorative concrete cap around it, and 10 years later, I know these are still working for the customer. Another repair project, the door seal. Since this door seal is older, and you can see the tile that's been laid right up against it, that was not an easy replacement for the homeowner. They had shopped some nice pre-hung doors, and they looked at the cost compared to what we could do for a repair, and the difference was not in the hundreds, but thousands. It would have cost them, I think, a little over $3 grand to have a new pre-hung door put in, plus all the interior work that would have came with it. We were able to section out all the dry rot, treat it with a fungicide, replace some of the damage, or replace the damage in there, seal it up, waterproof it, and save that homeowner a lot of money. This is a typical patio that a lot of people have built in their backyards, post 2x6 joisting. And these we would call our easy ones. So I replaced these, but some of the more interesting and fun ones that we do can look bigger. We have custom posts here with concrete pillars on them with a wood post on the top. Same design, but you can see the difference on design and how upscale it makes it look using a different type of post. We had an existing patio cover here. We rebuilt this, and this particular customer is just completely worried about rot on the top of the lattice cover. So all that we used as a plastic composite up in here that gave a lot of life to this patio cover. Whenever we do rebuilds on posts or any types of beams, we prime and paint all 6 sides. So the ends of these posts that are sitting down on the concrete have been sealed to make them last longer. It's one of the things that I think that separates us out as we try to do a better quality project. We've done some big ones like this. This guy's backyard. We already had pavers all down on this, so we had to take apart the pavers to put in concrete footings and then put the pavers back in around the footings so it all blends in. But this was a really fun project that we did over in the Mount Helix area. The basic 4x4 post with a 2x6 clamp on the side of the post. It ties in real good with the beams up at the top. And I don't know how this picture got so distorted. This is another one we did up in, I think, Valley Center area. These massive fiberglass columns slipped over the 6x6 post down on the thing there. So that was quite a project to get those things, 12 feet up in the air to the bottom of the post and slip it down the wood to install it. So that was kind of fun. I got to watch the guys do that for a couple of days. Sometimes I'll go watch and just take a few pictures and make sure they're doing it safely, not hurting themselves, or have a good sequence of events dealing with the project. We do some patio covers with can lighting. This one turned out really nice. Plus we put a soffit underneath and we put a deck coating on top. So the whole thing is waterproof. They can walk out their 2nd story bedroom onto the deck above, and it's solid, doesn't bounce, feels safe. See that can lighting underneath. And then they had more of the traditional lattice patio cover off to the other side where they needed some light coming into the kitchen and the dining room area. We've done some a lot of HOA work. So these are 2nd story balconies that the deck itself was rotted, the posts were rotted, but the little lattice patio covers up on top, somebody rebuilt those a couple of years earlier and they were just fine. So we saved the HOA a lot of money by just using a simple support post on either side, supporting the newer patio cover up on top, rebuilding what was damaged underneath. There's a finished product out of that. So we always enjoy projects like this. It's good carpentry work. We get to interact with the customers. We use Trex decking on these. And I think in this complex, we probably did 30 of these balconies. Sometimes we come into older stuff, but this is in North Park, and you can see how non-existent some of that framing was when we opened it up to get in there. But we have the ability to support everything from the sub area, the eaves, support the flooring in the 2nd story on this, replace everything. The picture on the right shows us before we put all the metal strapping around the corner to tie it all back together. Sometimes we get homeowners that are just frustrated. So they had the typical wood shelf out their 2nd story window, and we replaced that with a new Trex product. Gave it some color, gave it some life. They don't have to paint it anymore. And just added a lot of longevity to the shelf for the homeowner up there. Typical job in I think this is Poway area. All those 4x8 beams tie right up underneath the eaves to the top of the framing. We replaced the full beam going across. We also did a bunch of trim work around the front door and those windows there. So that was a nice project there. We put all the blocking in there. All the joists were lifted up there basically twice. So once we made sure we had everything in place, the bird mouths cut so it sits down on top of the beam nice and tight. They bring it back down, finish painting everything, and then put it back up. This project took a little bit longer than we thought, but we did an excellent job. Got some nice reviews from the homeowner out of this. And actually, I did some video shooting of this at one point too. Some of our stuff is simple. We've got wood trim around the window, some termite damage, some fungus damage. We just basically had to take the bottom siding out, the trim work around the window, paint everything up, put it back together. Some of our projects get into a little more fun, and we have to tie into existing stuff. So you can see this is a decking there. We use Trex decking. A lot of our customers like the combination of Trex hand railings and wood hand railings. So we used, you can see the collars at the base of the post on all these. They tie in real nice like that, cover up any seams from the decking. But the nice safe hand railing there, super sturdy. There was a nice drop off in the back of this, so nobody was going to get hurt falling over this. There's another view from the other side of that. Some of our projects are quick and easy with, we don't have to paint. The homeowner wanted a natural look on the hand railings, so the one on the left, and they knew that they would have a maintenance issue on that, having to re-stain it every year, but they didn't want the deck surface to be one of them, so we used a combination there. The one on the right, that's an epay deck. Those things, every screw hole has to be pre-drilled before you install it. And it needs maintenance every year. In fact, we feel really bad. We did one deck for a couple in Coronado, and a year later, we told them about all the bushes. You guys really need to cut all the bushes and the trees back to keep all the drippings and stuff off the deck, and they didn't do it. The landscaper, while they were out of town, thought he was going to help out, came in and painted it for them. Ruined the deck. It was so sad. Some of our stuff is a little more challenging. So we did the peak of that A-frame outcropping there, and corbel that sticks out. So a lot of guys will do second-story ladders to get up there and do the repairs. We do some custom milling when we need to around windows and doors. Duncan is a great option for replacing new windows, but when you have one window that's damaged and it needs to match the rest of the stuff in the house, then we can come in and do a custom milling to get things done. You see it's just a corner, probably wasn't sealed properly, and a few years later it rotted out. Some of our work is just fascia board around the house. People seem to notice that before it gets painted. I know we've worked with John Peak a few times. He comes out to do a paint job and says, I can't paint air. You know, there's air bubbles and damage all through these eaves, and sometimes we can get that work done for them. I really like this picture because this kind of digs into the heart of what a lot of the people here at Best Rate feel. We don't want this happening. We take deck safety very seriously. We spend time on education. We spend time on proper handrail codes and attachments so that this won't happen. A deck collapse can be very serious to a lot of people that are on it. There's been a loss of life. I've been a member of the North American Deck and Railing Association for 10 years now. I try to go to their expo every year as an educational event, network with other professionals across the country in the deck and building industry. So we take deck safety very seriously. May is Deck Safety Month. One of the things that we do is NADRA has put out a deck safety inspection checklist. I've sent all 3 of my estimators to that class twice now to continue education on how to do a deck safety inspection. We don't do that for a charge, but we do that in the process of making sure what we're doing for the customer is right, is safe, is the right right rebuild for them, for their dreams and their desires, but also what we're doing is safe. Excuse me. If you can see the second story sliding glass door up there, and the board, that's where the deck ledger goes. 60 to 70% of all deck failures happen right there at the ledger connection, the ledger board falling, breaking loose, rotting off, not properly connected. So we've spent a lot of time educating ourselves on the proper connections there to do a safe product that's going to last a long time. Again, here you can see the post on the outside have done a great job holding up this deck, but it failed at the ledger connection at the house. So this here is a flatbed trailer that we have, and a couple of years ago we took it down to base, and we built 2 decks on this. So the one on the right, we used all the proper connections, cross bracing, hardware. We partnered up with Simpson Strong Tie, who supplies a lot of the hardware and the bolts and connections, and they're a great company for education. Also, we did a practice run up at San Carlos Hardware in their parking lot right here. Hooked up a sound system, and I gave a nice presentation. I had some guests up there. We had the crews up there watching. And the deck on the left was put together not so well, not quite as strong. And we set it up so that the ledger connection would fail. Before I got full going into this thing, I asked for volunteers. Nobody wanted to sit in the chair up on the top. I wasn't sure why. I had a great view of the parking lot. I'd seen everybody. But yeah, no volunteers. And then we did this deck collapse again at La Mesa Lumber. The deck collapse on this, I have this, I think, on video. I think I'll send everybody a link to the video. But this one here, I partnered up with Simpson Strong Tie again. We went through, I had, I think, 80 contractors there, and we gave a presentation on how do you do base post connections, post beam connections, the hurricane straps, the hardware that connects the joist through the ledger board into the framing of the house. And then when we were done, we did another deck collapse, and that deck collapse actually shot out into where the lunch line was. So I was glad I had everybody move. Some of the damage from the deck collapse there, boards just split, and we didn't put that together so it just fall apart. We put it together, other than a few missing components on the hardware. We put it together pretty well. So we wanted to be realistic as we could on this. So again, there's a deck sitting at La Mesa Lumber, ready to go. Anybody hear that?
I can hear it, Jeff.
What's happening? It's shaking and rocking on. Wow, aren't you glad you weren't in that lunch line? All right. Thank you, Rick. Thank you, David. Yeah. So if you were sitting out there with your friends and family, would you be happy right now? Probably not.
That was a fun lunchtime thing. La Mesa Lumber during the summer has several lunch and learns out there. I felt very honored that the owner, Wes, would invite me out to do this demonstration to everybody. How do I get past that? There we go. Here's another deck we've done. You see the lighting mixed in there, the Trex hand railing on this. This is one of our the curved on the outside. We really enjoyed doing this one. And here's another before and after. You can see underneath when you have angled decking boards, it takes a little more framing under this one, but they didn't use any pressure treated wood, and the deck substructure basically was rotted on this one. So that was a complete rebuild for us. Here's another entry series of decks we did. Walking into the front door, nice little bench in the back. If you look at this one of the things that we can do very well is hidden fasteners. So you can look at these deck boards and see that there's no screw holes in the top of these. Nice straight lines. Hand railing systems, all 2x2s. We use structural lumber on those instead of just cheap decorative redwood on those. So it made it for a really nice looking handrail system. It's nice and strong. This one turned out really nice, and our guys just love taking lunch breaks when you have views like this also. Another deck we did over in East County. Again, hidden fasteners, all new subframing underneath. And they just wet this one down, but it's all Trex also. And you see the little ramp we built at the back of that. That continues down the left side there. So they were actually able to use it as a handicap ramp built into it for one of the family members later. And we thought it blended very well. We've done some work right here. This is probably a hard one to see, but the glass railing up there. People wanted their view, and the glass railing did a fantastic job of blending on this one. Finished redwood decking. Speaks for itself. Redwood decking is a beautiful deck. The natural colors of redwood come out, but you do have to maintain it. You should be out sealing that every year. Again, we've done some big HOAs. You can see the size of that beam above the crew guy's head right there. We replaced 7 of those all the way up and down this complex. This had the walkways above the garages and all decking in between the walkways there. It's quite, down in Imperial Beach. And I remember doing a termite inspection on this building almost 30 years before this thing, and they still hadn't addressed the siding issues out in the front. Of the safety issue of the people walking above on the decking upstairs was getting to be an issue. We did both sets of stairs. They had one in the front, one in the back. Tied everything in. We put in some new posts on this one. Had to open up the drywall in a couple of the garages to do this. This was a pretty big project. One of the things I'm proud of that's made this company great is in our hallway, we have a crew board. We're still using the old-fashioned marker board on the wall, but above the wall, we have guys take pictures of alongside in front of the job sites, and we put pictures up around the walls, all the way down. So we've even had a couple customers jump in and do it. You see the first one on the bottom left there. He jumped in. It's like, no, I want to do the picture for the guys. We've had them take pictures with the animals, and they just have fun doing it. And as much as I got a lot to be proud of this company, I couldn't have done it with all the help with the people that work there, from office staff. Right now we're at 30 crew guys, and we have 3 estimators and a few gals in the office. We are switching to a software builder trend, and it's eventually going to replace our marker board there. So be happy to take any questions if anybody has them.
Jeff, you mentioned Trek. This is Glenn. You mentioned Trek several times. What's the advantage, or are there any disadvantages of using the Trek product for the deck boards?
Trex has been around the longest. We've done a few with TimberTech and AZAC and Fibron also, but Trex is the one that most customers ask us for, and the longevity that you can get out of a composite board is 3 times as much as a wood board. The maintenance level on those is hose it down with a power nozzle once a year to shine it up is pretty much what you got to do for maintenance on composite decking. They've gotten really good with grains and colors now that you can't get with a wood finish or a stain. And really, we've got it down to where even though the composite decking boards cost a little bit more than to buy the boards, by the time we figure in the labor it takes to prime and paint a board, they're almost the same. And then you throw in the lack of maintenance in the future, that's the real value using that.
Jeff, are they hot to walk on?
So, sometimes in the summer, some of the composites can be hotter than others. The lighter boards aren't quite as bad as some of the darker boards. Dark boards will colors will retain the heat. So, really good question, Ron.
Jeff, I have a question. Do you build pergolas or carports from scratch?
We do. Yeah, everything we've done from scratch, we can do from scratch. To be honest with you, we are not great architects and designers, so we've done fantastic job with modifications. So somebody has a small balcony, we've turned it into a really big deck that they can walk out on. Somebody has a patio cover, we've opened up the window, put in a full French doors for people, and done great extensions like that. But we're not really good at sitting down and doing a big design build project.
But if it's time where you guys do the footings, the concrete footings for the posts and all that?
Absolutely. We've done footings that we probably should have got in trouble for digging so deep.
That's good to know. Thank you, Jeff.
Hey, Jeff, it's Charles. I got a question for you.
Bring it on.
Okay. Hey, I noticed in one of the photos that you had, you were showing, it looked like a building that was stucco, that you'd taken the stucco off and you were dealing with the wood underneath, and the corner shot that you had.
Yeah, yeah.
So when you guys do that, you guys do the wood repair in there. Do you also do the stucco on the outside, or do you bring somebody in for that?
A little of both, depends. We can do really good on the wrapping of the paper and the first coat or two. If the areas are small, my guys are really good at matching some of the textures. But we do have a couple great stucco people that we bring in on some of our larger stuff also.
Okay, and then one more question for you. I know you used to talk about the inspections, and I've known you from the termite business. You used to be in the past or whatever. You do all the woodwork, but on the balconies, I know that California had passed that law as far as for a lot of the like apartment buildings and whatnot, or buildings that had balconies, they have to be inspected and stuff like that to make sure that they can support it. And they're doing. Do you do any of that inspection stuff, or would you just do the work if they found out when they do the testing, where they have to kind of core in and come out and say yes, it's in good shape, or no, this needs to be rebuilt? You just do the work.
Really good question, Charles. So we do a lot of deck inspections for homeowners. We don't call that certified. What you're talking about is State Bill 721 and State Bill 326, I believe.
Okay.
And those are the two mandated state bills that require inspections. We do not do those, even though our licensing might allow us to. We've elected not to do the inspection because if we do the inspections, we can't do the work.
Gotcha.
And we are starting to pick up a lot more on that type of work. We've been doing those kind of projects for a long time. So with these bills, it's a huge cost to a lot of HOAs and apartment buildings coming up in the next 4 years. And we've elected to just specialize on doing the repairs.
Okay, so you definitely, then obviously you're a perfect candidate for the repairs.
Yeah, absolutely.
Okay.
Yeah.
Thank you.
And I just noticed talking with you right now, Charles, I've been so focused on this presentation about all the big fun stuff we've done that I failed to mention one of the core things that we've started doing and from the beginning and we're still doing now. Is when somebody's in escrow, termite inspection company comes out, does the inspection. Those core repairs are what we've built this company on.
Hey, Jeff, John Peak.
Hey, John.
Hey, you mentioned repairing what we call built-up decks. Those are those metal decks. Oftentimes people let those go too long and they leak and cause rot in the substructure, the joists. Do you all do the rebuilding properly of the as well?
Absolutely, John. We can demo everything down to the floor joists. If the floor joists are damaged, we can replace those. A lot of times we're putting back a ripped board on top to make sure the drainage is proper. And then we can do some buildups and scuppers going into the drain so that with the concrete itself on the deck coating on top.
Excellent.
So it drains properly.
Yeah. Perfect. Thank you, sir.
Quick,
Yes.
this is Glenn. I'll jump in. Two quick thoughts. One is, one of the things I love about having guys like Jeff in the group is, and I'll shout out to Javier as well, when it comes to knowing what's required and what you're supposed to do, what's the right thing to do. Javier, when it comes to pools and hot tubs, he is the man and can tell you exactly on the fencing and railing. And Jeff is the same way. It's like, okay, yeah, this is not to code. They really understand the right way to do things. And so we don't think of these as big safety hazards around our home, but in fact, they're the biggest safety hazards we've got in our home. Being out on a deck or in a hot tub at a home is one of the biggest safety hazards you've got. So having these people in the group is so valuable because they can be experts at stuff that we don't actually know. I live in a wildland urban interface, high risk area where fires start at in Ramona. And so we get an inspection every year, whether we want to or not, by the state. And this last year's inspection, they said, holy cow, Jeff's crew had boxed in all of our eaves to make them more fire safe so that they don't draw air into the roof and burn the house down. He said, this is an example. Do you mind if we take pictures? I said, yes, and I think you should suggest to people to do this. And so, but Jeff's crew came out and made my house twice as fire safe just by the way that they boxed in the eaves. And so I got a nice compliment from the inspector, and maybe next year he'll be nice to me. Thank you, Jeff.
Thank you, Glenn.
I have kind of a follow-up question on that, because I was actually just going to ask about the boxing into the eaves, because I live in fire country in Valley Center. But along with that, one of the things they also tell you to do is to replace the attic vents and stuff like that. Do you do any of that type of stuff, or just the boxing into the eaves?
We box in the eaves, and actually there's a new product out now that we can track down for you. It allows you, if you know there's a fire coming, you can run out there with a broomstick and close the eave. It's like a little sliding thing that goes over and it closes up the eave, so you have no airflow.
Awesome.
So
Thank you.
it's a value added in there now.
Well, Jeff, thanks so much for sharing. I know I